Hello, I'm here.
Yeah.
Welcome to World of Tanks. I'm Cabbage Mechanic, and with me, as always, is Tragic Loss and KrzyBooP.
Captain Green here today.
Yep. KrzyBoop's hair is green. He's doing a little Halloween costume prep. So we're actually Tragic did a pretty good job of making it work with the background. But keep in mind that this background isn't actually black; it's a green screen. So we're having some fun times with KrzyBoop's
actually
blurry
show
hair.
people that. So woo!
Yeah, there you go.
The magic.
Krzy
Shout out
just
to all you
likes
guys.
to make my job slightly more difficult.
I didn't think I was streaming today.
I mean, even if you were streaming on Thursday, Krzy.
Anyway,
Well, it washes out before then. Just
That's
saying.
fair. All right.
we got a mostly fresh stream bingo card. We're going to be doing
Mostly
platoons with you guys. We don't have a ton of news today, but one thing I do want to address that's going to come up multiple times in the stream, I am sure.
I forgot my paper.
Don't worry about it, KrzyBoop.
Take mine.
Do I really need it?
There have been
Yes.
some changes to
Hello
the
there.
Sandbox, and there's an article that will be coming to us at some point about it. But basically, the messaging from the devs that we have seen is that the first iteration of the HE changes were all about making sure that the HE shells themselves worked. Because we fundamentally changed how they work. Many of you know previously they would have an AoE splash, go to the weakest point of the armor, try and pen it, and then depending on whether or not they pen, they did a certain amount of damage. The new system is more of a consistent system. It's not as dependent on that. And now that they have confirmed that the actual mechanic, the new mechanic is working, they're trying out fine-tuning some numbers. So maybe some of the vehicles that you were worried about HE being ruined because of the first iteration may have completely changed. I was sent a screenshot this morning of a member of the CIS team doing 6k damage in an IS-7 using only HE. So
Suck it, RNG.
certainly some things
Amazing.
are possible. So anyway, that's what the Sandbox is for. It's for live iteration and experimentation on the game. So please don't take anything that's on there super seriously. Please do check it out and let us know what you think about it, because we will make changes accordingly. But definitely, if you didn't like last week's Sandbox, this week's might be more to your liking. So go check it out. And hopefully Tragic can post the link to join the Sandbox in the chats at some point.
What if I
And
don't want to?
well, I hope you do, because I definitely didn't give you. I didn't give you warning to get it ready, so I understand if it's not ready right now.
No, I do.
Do
have
you
it
think
ready.
that
See, we
lowering the
love
RNG factor in our game will make people happy?
Okay.
I don't bring
So
you on
we
here to ask
do
loaded
have
questions,
the,
KrzyBooP.
Sandbox thing,
That-
so
I didn't mean to attack
That's
you.
what chat's for.
I didn't mean
No,
to attack you.
I mean, RNG is a complicated topic with a lot of solutions. I know a lot of people think that just simply reducing it or removing it is an easy choice. I disagree that it's an easy choice. I don't entirely disagree with the logic entirely, though. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about right now with this Sandbox. This Sandbox is all about HE changes. Some of you also noticed that Hesh is not available. That just because we haven't gotten to the point yet where we've considered what is going to change about Hesh. This is just about HE. So again, those of you who say you hate the changes, please go back. The Sandbox server has updated. There isn't an article on the updates live on the NA portal yet, but it will be coming at some point soon,
we
I
do
hope.
have the RU version of
Yes.
the
Nahul,
article.
no, you don't need to worry about getting your
you
money
can-
back. Did you hear him? The IS-7 did a
We'll
consistent amount of damage.
Right. Well, I was sent a
So-
screenshot by somebody on the Sandbox this morning
Yeah.
who did, I believe it was 5,700 damage in an IS-7 using only HE.
And then, like,
So-
that's a more consistent. Not I hit him. I guess
Yeah.
I did 7 damage. Woo!
Frank on Twitch says, "What if we change the hates?" That's fine, as long as you're basing what you dislike on reality. That's fine. I just please, in case you haven't seen the newest update of the Sandbox server, go find the new stuff to hate instead of still hating the old stuff.
Yeah.
That's fine. Traficone says rank battles next week.
That's not on our paper.
Where are you getting your information, Traffic?
Oh, it says soon.
Traficone.
It says coming soon.
There will be rank battles soon. Yep.
Yeah, we do have information coming soon.
Proper
though,
announcement
like,
coming
very
soon. Can't spoil it. But we do have a proper announcement on rank battles coming soon.
what it says on my post-it note.
If you're watching the stream, you've been forced to the WGC migration. I hope most of you aren't too upset about that. I do recommend go watching 4 Tankers and a Dog's YouTube video covering the change. He's got some tips for helping you avoid parts of it if you don't like it.
I did it. Heads up, your host file, the one that he pulls up in the video, you'll see it. Mine was blank, so you might have to do all that fun typing yourself.
Yes.
So
Anyway, go check that out. I will say I've been one of the harshest internal critics of WGC at Wargaming. I feel pretty strongly about that. And I have to say that it's much better now than the first iterations we messed with. There was a memory leak issue they fixed up. If you switch between multiple accounts, like for example, when we do switch between our main accounts and our sheriff accounts, WGC makes that extremely simple. It allows you to skip the login screen and log straight into the game, which is kind of nice. But where it really helps out if you switch between game clients, like for example, you're participating in the Sandbox. If you have the Sandbox server on WGC, you can easily separate the Sandbox client and the normal World of Tanks client and swap
And the
between them.
common test. All
And the
three.
common tests. Yeah,
You can just
at
hop
any
between
point.
them.
So if you're WGC is amazing for those things. If you're the kind of person who does those tests, it'll be really, really good for you. Anyway, I like that. Hobbling Farmer says, nice hairstyling, KrzyBooP. Hypertroll says,
you.
I just bypassed WGC. That is something you can do. And if you want to do it, more power to you.
That's basically what Four Tankers does. Is he installs the WGC, but then he just puts the normal Watt application on his toolbar, and it logs in and does everything that WGC would do, but without using WGC. So you could still do that.
What do we have to do to get Tragic to talk like a gremlin?
Apparently that. Shout out to Tragic.
Anonymizer is still coming soon.
Start off. Imponderable Mercy on Twitch says, what about the Anonymizer? I hope to have some news on the Anonymizer for you guys soon. The last bit we heard about the Anonymizer was out of WG Fest. The devs made some comments that you wouldn't be able to tell just by looking at someone if they were using it, was I believe the Q&A question about it, which I thought was interesting. That's something I didn't know previously about the style, but I still do not have a timeline, but I can promise you it's still very much on the list. I do want to talk about balance a little bit. This will be probably more official in the near future, but as many of you know, we're working pretty hard on doing some very serious large balance changes that are going to affect all the vehicles in the game. That includes how premium shells work, how HE shells work, and as you can imagine, it's quite a large task. And
It's a massive
it's a
upheaval
massive
of our
undertaking.
game.
And unfortunately, because we know we're already committing to this larger change, other smaller balance things are unfortunately being punted to the wayside, because if we do them before the larger change will end up affecting them anyway. So that is still very much a priority, and it's something that a large amount of our dev resources are focusing on at this moment. But please understand that smaller balance changes are not going to happen until this large balance patch involving the shell mechanics and the shell types is completed.
You see the Hobbling Farmer? He messaged me today, and he was like, when did I get this tank? And then I had to link him Watt Weekly because he didn't pay attention.
Oof.
Okay, Cabbage, why did we have to swap over to Game Center? I have an 11-year-old iMac, and it took 2 hours and 30 minutes to download the game. Just want to know where we had to. Well, Captain Napalm, I'm sorry about that. That's terrible. As far as the why, it's because it takes programmer time and effort to maintain the multiple different launchers, and for a long time now we've been working on getting WGC to the point where it could become the only launcher. We feel that we finally hit that point, and accordingly we have ended support for the old launcher and migrated everyone over to WGC. I do understand that it's not ideal for everyone. I appreciate that you had to re-download the game, and that is an inconvenience that I apologize for.
In addition to the being on the Mac part, so he has to get the Mac wrapper too.
Right,
Yeah.
which is finally updated, right?
I think so.
I think it's up for this patch. In any case,
I hope so.
Well, I know a lot of people on Macs dual boot Windows anyway, so it might not affect you. But in any case, the main reason is so that we can focus on just having one launcher, and then hopefully adding more features to that launcher by using the dev time that would have been spent on maintaining multiple ones. So we switched over to WGC. We have other wargaming titles available on there. We have the test server, the common server, or the Sandbox server, and the common test server. There will be future titles on there, and we're also incorporating, I believe we just added Steel Division 2, which is a pretty cool game, among others. And we hope to continue to add features to WGC. I personally hope to see Twitch integration. I think that'd be kind of cool for some reason.
I would love Twitch integration.
Yeah, but we're getting there. In any case, that's why it's to more efficiently use our development resources, which is the answer for a lot of things that we and most other software companies do. Were there any other questions that we missed before we get in here?
Pardon
Warchild's
Narfa,
here.
it's-
Howdy, Warchild. I've been watching your stream.
There was Zachary Miller asked, how will HE affect Artie? How will the change affect it? already is what I'm guessing.
Too early to say with confidence. I believe
Don't know.
the current iteration right now is more focused on other vehicle classes. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about how this change is massive. There's a lot of things like that to figure out. I did see, I believe Warchild had a question on Twitch.
Will we be getting a Halloween mode?
Yes. So we're working on a Halloween mode. They are... we're having a few issues with the Halloween mode. There is one coming. We hope to have more information extremely soon.
Yeah.
A word which here means tomorrow, hopefully.
Yeah.
But we're literally, our devs are working on it at this moment, trying to make it work. So we hope to have the news for you soon. Bill on Facebook asked, Cabbage, you get new glasses? They look larger. No, my head just might be bigger because I think Tragic likes to gaslight me, basically making my head on the screen larger.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely larger than I was last week, so I think
Almost definitely.
that's what happened.
Last week he had to fit into a mech suit.
I also think it's because I oh yeah, the mech suit. I also think it's because I made OBS a little bit bigger. Oh no. Hold on.
That's why. So it
if
just
I
looks
do
bigger
this,
to me.
it'll
Maybe
look a
not
little
then.
bit bigger if I go that.
Okay. Redeem says, appreciate the professionalism of these streams. Truly, literally waited till I heard this on stream. I'm not sure what you mean when you say this, but hey, cool, glad to hear. We appreciate the kind words, and really the purpose of this stream is to talk with our hardcore dedicated fans who really care about this stuff on a personal level. So that's awesome. Glad to hear.
Brian Pickle, you don't need a link for bingo. You're already playing.
Yeah. The other thing
We play
is,
as a group.
if you guys are talking like when do we get the winner signups, basically if we get close to winning, that's when I'll post the link. Otherwise, I'm not going to spam you guys with that link. So.
She has other links to spam.
Yep. So somebody pointed out that it's time to mark the Cabbage talks about his big head.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, we checked that one. Thank you.
That is definitely one of them.
And whoever got that going by talking about my glasses, well done.
All right.
Way to get one
It's
of
all
the
coming together.
one of the bingos done.
All right.
Thank you for the kind words, MCB on YouTube. I hope MCB. Is True here? I see
True
some
Voodoo
people
is
talking
here,
about True.
yes.
I missed
That's
him out.
all.
How's it going, True? I heard a rumor about True's clan allegiance changing. True, I don't want to spoil you, but feel free to talk about it if you want.
Where's he going?
Do you guys want to get Platoon started?
Yeah, I think we're
now
ready
that
to
we're
go.
moving into a discussion.
Is
based-
this
Thanks, Boomfox.
Is
It needs a
this,
trim right now. It's a little
accurate
out of
right
control.
now, or do you have to make changes to that?
It's accurate.
Yep. Big and tanky.
Big and tanky, and then up next after that is insanely average, and then after insanely average, we will have Voss 99. Voss
Cool.
99.
Streamer's choice. What tier do you want?
Let's go tier 6 to start.
All right, tier 6 count.
Start a little
Tier
low.
6.
I noticed when we start tier 10, it's not good.
Get ready.
Let's do German so I can work on the on track.
True says, I left clan yesterday. I'm not heading anywhere. It just wasn't for me anymore. I plan to stay neutral. I respect that.
Neutral?
I'm sure that Muhu will miss you dearly.
What is neutral?
I
mean?
hope everything is well there.
Clanless heathens.
We will support you whatever clan you're in, True.
I won't.
Except KrzyBooP, apparently.
I have opinions.
Not listening, by the way, great name, says type F to pay respects to KV2. Guys, those changes, are, for one...
Well, I have to be honest. I haven't gotten a good enough look at the new Sandbox to be sure the KV2 is all of a sudden
Yeah.
good again. But yeah, please understand that the Sandbox is evolving.
It is not even close to being...
They could make the changes
live.
and then not go forward with them.
Speaking of
Yes.
KV2R, I think I'll play it this game.
All right. Awesome. All right, are you guys... Oh, no.
Yep,
Y'all are
we
ready.
got our
Waiting on the
Bethune.
big and tanky.
All
And
right.
Prevost says, "Are you going to IndyCar next year, Cabbage?" I should. I got to be honest. I just haven't been getting out to COTA like I should. I've been really busy doing
You
this.
should come with me on my track day.
Oh yeah, Tragic's doing a track day on the bike. I don't really have a bike that's suited for a track day.
Dude,
Tragic says it doesn't matter, but the Africa
I
Twin.
sent you a video of that guy on
yeah.
basically similar style bike.
Is not. I have
Yeah,
the-
but he
the
doesn't want
Africa
to be
Twin-
that guy.
The Africa Twin has a dirt bike front tire on it. It's got a 21-inch front tire and it's really skinny. And you
Anyways, all I'm
really,
hearing is excuses, so we're gonna start
right.
the count in.
yeah.
Count
We got it. Hold
in.
on, Big and Tanky's not rated up yet.
No, he's not.
Get ready.
But the
Tier
Africa Twin
6.
is fast, don't get me wrong. But for a track, you really want something with a little more feeling in the front, a little more
you
traction.
could
in the
always
front.
rent a bike.
Yeah, I could.
You could.
Who wants to be
also-
on the bowling shoe on the track?
It's just not
Rent a bike.
It's not a priority. Who wants to be on the bowling shoe on the track? It's just not. It's not a priority. Also, like that's not the kind of motorcycle riding. My dad actually used to race at
right.
Sears Point in the '80s,
5,
and it's really cool. And I'd like to
4,
do it at some point, but
3, 2.
we're counting
1,
down. KrzyBooP is
go.
ready.
What you got there, Kawasaki? Yeah, I'm number 9.
Yeah, card says the Africa
The
Twin
blue
is a great
one, number
supermoto.
9.
It's pretty heavy for a supermoto, but it can do what a supermoto does. That's true.
Cabbage, I'm only hearing excuses. Take your sweet adventure bike out to the track, says Jimmy Crib. Thank you, Jimmy. I appreciate your support.
I just I got the Africa Twin with the intent of doing long distance camping trips on it, and that's what I did this summer.
I mean,
And I think if if I get into that style of riding, I'll get a bike that's more suited to that.
you
style
don't
of
even
riding.
have to be into that style of riding. It'll just make you a better rider in general.
How was
Just-
New
Yeah,
Braunfels?
I believe that.
Tell the stream about New Braunfels.
They call it an adventure bike for a reason.
Yeah, actually, one of my favorite. I can't remember who the quote is from, but there's a famous quote that like adventure is just going on a trip with inappropriate equipment. Like you can have adventure going to the grocery store if you do it on roller skates.
That's true.
So
Roller skates
I
are
have
the
an
fastest.
there is
FZ07.
something to be said for that.
wheels.
I think actually Motor Trend has
Yamaha.
they picked up Zach and Ari, who they have I can't remember they were on Two Wheels was their YouTube motorcycle show, and they did a trip where they toured Baja on Honda Monkeys, I believe. Which
Oh my god.
that's one way to have an adventure is to
Oh
ride.
yeah.
Yeah, so shameless plug for On Two Wheels. I can't remember what their new show is called, but Zach and Ari from On Two Wheels have
Yeah.
their own show on Motor Trend. That's
Guys,
awesome.
we'll only post the bingo link if we're getting close to an actual bingo. Otherwise, I'm not going to spam a link.
That's not a bingo.
Yeah. And then Ian Studios says, what is Sandbox about? So Sandbox is basically earlier in the development cycle. So you have Sandbox, well, not development, but mostly it's only testing. So it's basically, if you guys know what a sandbox is for most games, it's
Yeah.
a place where you can go and play around with all of the mechanics and see what happens.
Build a
Yeah.
sandcastle.
Well,
It's
in this
not
case,
even-
it's more of a sandbox for
Yeah.
developers than it is for players. But
Yeah,
but that
it's
is what
not
it
even
is.
necessarily a part of the development cycle. It's just a thing that developers do to basically test the weirdest of the weird and see how it affects the game. Yeah, basically. So you have Sandbox, which is completely separate from the normal development cycle where it goes super test, common test, maybe another iteration of common test, and then into live server. But otherwise, Sandbox is over here. This is where the development cycle actually is. So don't worry too much about what's actually on the current test server. So.
Fastest Classic on YouTube says, I will say the Sandbox HE changes feel to dumb down HE too much, whereas you can currently load it strategically to do better damage. That aspect is completely taken away by the Zero Pad. I don't disagree with that. That's an undeniable truth of the theme of the changes. I will say that, and maybe that the change on the Sandbox isn't necessarily the best solution to this problem, but I do think there's a problem in the game of, for example, the M4 Sherman and the Panzer IV going around and one-shotting Tier 3s, and that is not a good Tier 3 game experience for anyone. And a lot of the changes that they've been working on have sort of been aimed at dealing with that problem. The initial idea, of course, was just to raise the HP levels at lower tiers to increase the time to kill. And that might still ultimately be the direction we go. Like I said, the Sandbox is for trying out a bunch of different hypotheses and see how the data looks once we get a bunch of people to
you guys are going to
run
want to
test
push
for us.
cap because we lost that flank.
I'm probably going to want to retreat from here, actually.
I think
Or that.
someone thinks that I'm actually playing the game right now. Instead of
She's not playing.
I don't
She
play the
doesn't play.
game when streams are running. I
Yeah.
run the stream, so.
She could if she wanted, but
could.
she valiantly gives up her seat to focus. Oh, maybe I shouldn't have retreated there.
It's
to
more like
focus
I don't
on-
want to show you guys up constantly, and so it's easier.
Well,
to
I got killed by artillery. Go ahead and mark that one. Just got M44
No. Where's the killed by Artie? That is row 2, spot 5. All right. Row 2.
I guess it
Are
was
you
just
guys-
too late to retreat there. I thought I would have an open avenue.
All right. You guys have. Are you guys watching somebody?
Yeah, big and tanky.
All right. Wrong button.
Big and Tinky has now perished.
There are lots of buttons. I pressed the wrong
See,
one.
I will say though, guys, if you're gonna talk trash, this trash talk is way better than the normal stuff I cheat in chat. Send me your address so I can Amazon you some tissue to cry into. That's actually funny.
Oh
Like
my
that's
gosh.
that's so much better than the usual like bleepity bleep and bleep that goes into chat.
I mean, it started out as another team of noobs, and I'm like, well, that's not
Ooh.
helping anybody. Like,
Diamond
Arcanon says that it was
minutes,
in
yeah.
fact less than 5 minutes. There you go.
I gotta figure out.
bye,
what
big and
boss
tanky. It
that
sure was
is.
fun.
Yeah. Sorry for the bad game, but you know what you're getting into when you sign up for battle with us. At this point, if you don't, I can't help you. Go play with True. Join.
There we go.
Maybe True will
True's
start
a
a clan
free
for all of
agent.
us to join to help us get better.
Let's see. Died in 5 minutes. That is bottom right.
Warchild says, "Who is Allgray and how long has he worked for Wargaming NA?" Allgray is one of our CS stars, and he's been around a couple of years, I believe. I want to watch him stream. Oh, he's really good, right? Yeah, he is actually. I think I remember who he is. He is really good. He might be a former pro, actually. We have a couple guys from that team who are former pros.
Nick Knack says, "Do you think the ammo changes will get rid of the perception that the game is pay to win? It's hard to get friends to play when they have the ideas already in their head that they can't play without paying." So,
It's hard to shake that with any
Yeah.
game like that's free to play.
honestly,
Like when you
I
say
would,
free to play, you expect microtransactions because that's how the company makes money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we almost definitely did less than 2K combined as well.
Yeah, I would just make sure that they understand that skill makes a much bigger difference than what tank you have and what ammo you're shooting. So, just saying.
I need to see the
got from
post-it note,
tier
please.
1 to tier 10 without paying anything.
Zachary Miller says Halloween event, if any. We hope to have news for you guys on the Halloween event by Thursday's stream for sure.
Let's see.
One way or the other. Basically,
row 3.
we have a Halloween event. It just needs some last minute fixing.
There we go.
Post-it note when you're ready.
All right, post-it note
Yep,
is
yep.
up. Insanely average is up next.
Streamer's choice.
Nick-
Okay, we're gonna do tier 9.
Nick Knack on Twitch says, "Do you think the ammo changes?" Oh, can you scroll up, please?
I think we just answered that one.
Oh, the ammo changes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the perception will
perception,
pay to win.
yeah. I don't think it will. People will always think that any game with they'll think any game with microtransactions is pay to win. So
Yeah.
there's not really a way to change that unless players themselves basically promote the idea that it's not.
Watt's tough. I mean, it has. I would say that like, I still don't think it's pure pay to win, but there's no denying that you get some advantages from paying. I mean, we hope that most people who play the game in a dedicated fashion appreciate enough to at least maintain a subscription, which is premium time.
You do get a lot more with premium time than you used to.
Yeah, you get the extra map ban too, which is some people will point to as evidence of pay to win.
The extra wins on your, like, if you win and do good, you can actually
Yeah.
apply an extra percentage on
Not
top
all
of that.
League or Dota are a good example.
Yeah, that's true.
Fair, but those ones are also they're more cosmetics based, and so like there's a lot of games that are cosmetic based.
And like this World of Tanks was around before League of Legends, before
Yeah.
they knew for a fact that people would pay money for cosmetics
Yeah.
only, like without.
Also, I do think that LoL's business model changed, so I'm not sure if this is still true.
Tier
But
9.
back when I played League of Legends, which admittedly was 9 years ago,
We're at
5,
easy.
4, 3, 2,
2,
1.
1, go. When a new champion would come out, it was still very much like you could buy them with the in-game currency,
Yeah.
but also, is that still the same way?
Yeah,
You can buy them with the
You
premium
can test
currency?
it for the first week.
Okay.
No, you couldn't test it for the first week. If you bought it, you could play it immediately, but the first week is like a test period.
Yeah.
If you don't own it.
So, I mean, if as far as premium tanks go, I mean, I don't know, is that, I guess the difference is you could still earn the new league champions with the in-game currency, but they're still a grind. So if there was a time when they were imbalanced, people who paid had an advantage.
Yeah, but like you couldn't buy with in-game currency the champion the week it released. You have to pay.
Sean on Facebook says, when I got a 15-kill match in an AT7 against premium tanks, I knew that it was not a pay-to-win game. Yeah, I mean, I think that at the end of the day, in World of Tanks, more than most games, a good player is going to be able to spank you, even if you're in a Tier 8 premium and they're in a Tier 6 tech tree. If they really have a mastery of the game mechanics and how the maps work, like that skill is going to shine through.
So I'm going to answer 2 questions really quick. I'm going to answer why were invisible walls considered to be the best solution to players abusing parts of the map. That's because I believe it was attempted to put just objects in the way and people got past those. Outside of that, it's more difficult to take into consideration the parts of the map that they got into and try to balance them with the other side of the map, because that goes into game design, map design, stuff like that. So just putting up walls where people used to be able to get to is a much easier solution.
Yeah, and on the topic of it being an easier solution, an invisible wall versus an object is quite actually a large difference in the sense of how big the map is data-wise. And so yeah, and it's the simplest, most efficient solution, which is why it is sometimes utilized.
And then I'm going to answer another question, and then I'm going to read off Thunderbolt 427's long comment, so that way you guys don't have to. S. Neptune G says, will the ammo rebalance be on the common test server? Currently, it's only on the Sandbox server. That is because the Sandbox server, we talked about this a little bit earlier in the stream, basically it is a test bed. It is not a part of the regular development cycle. So Sandbox server is up here. This is the normal development cycle. Development cycle generally goes super test, common test, and then it goes into either another iteration of common test or into the live server. So that's your general, path of development. And then we have Thunderbolt 427. Here's his very long comment. He says, you can't take the deserved criticism on here, then have an open forum to hear the community's complaint and hear your reasoning and excuses directly. You want an email? How about getting on here and address the loyal players like myself that has over 7 years invested, but we know you won't have a live complaint stream. We actually do.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what you're referring
Developers
to.
AMAs.
At what point did we say
Yeah.
we didn't want to get criticized on here?
Yeah.
And literally the
Did-
forums are
did-
full of
did-
criticism.
Did Thunderbolt have a previous comment that we missed or addressed?
I haven't seen any other messages from Thunderbolt.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is your first time tuning in, Thunderbolt, but we quite regularly address all forms of criticism on this stream. And,
Almost
sometimes
constantly.
we'll admit that we were not always right.
Yeah. We're not perfect.
Sometimes
No
the
game
answer is
perfect.
because something made sense logistically and not because it was a perfect design choice. For example, invisible walls.
Yeah. And then Knickknack888 says, in response, we do address criticism all the time. They just talked about something that he had said earlier. So we do. We love to address criticisms. This is mostly because, yes, we know a little bit more about the development, and so we can kind of explain the development reasoning behind some things versus kind of the unsure outer eye that you guys kind of have, unfortunately.
We actively try to get answers for all your guys' criticisms and questions.
Yeah.
That's something that we understand you guys want to know, and we want to give you that information.
Yeah. And then Brugich, BRGICH asks, is there going to be a premium tank marathon for Halloween? I don't believe so.
No. I will say there is another marathon on the horizon, but we can't share details about it yet.
Yeah. And then we have...
We have to cap. If you can.
is there any word
to
on the
defend our cap.
wheelie
Yeah.
I'm not
on
gonna
a
That's
what I mean.
wheelie revamp? So basically rebalancing. So currently, guys, we've actually discussed this a couple times. Basically, as far as we know, there are not going to be any huge balance changes until the ammo rework is put into the live server in some way, shape, or form. So don't expect too many huge balance changes until then,
KrzyBooP, no.
realistically.
I was trying to give him a shot.
All right, so that basically covered a bunch of the rebalancing questions that people are having. And then Hodor says, when will the physics, parentheses, tanks falling off mountains, large drops, and not losing HP, get fixed? So, Hodor, I don't know if you understand the way that fall damage is calculated.
No.
Basically,
No.
there's a
I don't
general...
want to take that shot.
there's a general way of calculation, and it's basically if the hull hits the ground or if any hard parts of the tank hit the ground. Unfortunately, because of this, if your wheels or your tracks hit the ground first, you might not take damage. So if you hit the corner of your tank, you're almost definitely going to get damage on your tank, whereas if you hit the tracks first or your wheels first,
Oh, no.
you're less likely to have that happen. So
That 263 is just waiting for me.
You have backup. They came from the...
I know, I'm just waiting for the 263 to respond to someone else.
Cardinarfa says, any chance of strikes going away after months and months? Seems like that's open for abuse by sociopaths. Do you mean like strikes as in you got an in-game strike, like you got
Nice.
banned for something? Because 99% of the time we are investigating your situation and making sure you're not like getting wrongfully banned or anything. And so if you're worried that someone is going to, or you're going to get banned for physics abuse, like you accidentally bumped into someone and they reported you, we're going to investigate that before you get a strike. And so I don't think in general that that is a thing that happens, that people get banned accidentally in that way. Like, there are definitely people who've gotten accidentally
If,
banned.
if
but
you do, you can put in a penalty appeal. And
yes, that too.
somebody else will look at it and bring it up.
Yes. Let's see.
I did see Traffic Cone had a question earlier about if there will be any new U.S. lines. At this time, it is looking like a no, at least for the short-term future. I will say that we certainly appreciate those of you who have pointed out that the inclusion of vehicles like the T26E3 and the T26E5 have sort of... Oh, that was a bad shot. Have sort of killed the ability to do those things. Oh, Artie. Well. And I would say that Nick and I kind of feel the same way. The devs chose to make some of those tanks heavy tanks, and they chose to make some of those tanks premium tanks. And unfortunately, we were pushing very hard for another American medium line, but that was just not the direction that the devs went. That doesn't mean that there won't be more American vehicles in the future, but yeah, not in the short term. As far as physics, I definitely. I hear where you're coming from. There's a few issues. I think it's not on the roadmap right now because we have these bigger balance issues that I would say are higher priority. Doesn't mean we won't get around to them, but we're definitely focused primarily on the shell type and balance situation right now.
I mean, Card, you can definitely appeal these, but also, I believe, yes.
All right.
Yep.
Because, for one, that still shows that you're a repeat offender?
Excuse me, Tragic?
Yeah.
I did 2,200 damage and would like you to
sweet.
check the
So that is
according
4,
box.
4. So we're going to chill out.
We're
Row
getting them.
4,
We're getting them, boys.
Cabbage 4.
I saw somebody say they haven't been able to play since the WGC update. Matteo on YouTube. Please let us know why, and we're happy to help you get going with the tech support team so they can help you get it figured out.
Your turn to pick a tier.
John
okay.
4787 repeating this question: if someone
down to
abuses
tier
game
5.
physics in the game, so
I gotta play my Derp Sherman while
physics
I can, right?
abuse is constituted as pushing someone, shoving someone, blocking someone, any of those sort of dealios. but it also includes sacrificing your own tank to avoid getting killed. So when artillery kills himself, you have to submit a ticket with a replay to have that instance sanctioned. And so if someone is pushing you, shoving you, blah, 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 whatnot, please do submit a ticket. They won't turn blue, unfortunately. Currently, the only way to turn blue is being artillery, I believe, and repeatedly shooting your teammates.
Is
because
it?
you can
'Cause
still stun them.
Stun damage is counted?
Yes.
I thought.
You can still stun your
yeah,
teammates.
but I don't think you
so
can turn blue from stunning your
You can.
teammates.
I believe that's
Artillery-
actually the only way to turn blue. No.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think you can
News for me.
also possibly turn blue by pushing a teammate off a cliff.
Okay.
And
Got
them
false, yeah.
taking damage. But otherwise, yes, you can also, so John is actually saying, I've had this person turn blue after getting pushed off a cliff, blah, blah, blah. Yes, that is also a way to do so. But I always recommend that you submit a ticket anyways. So.
Okay, so I was wrong. Ice Dragon says that they don't turn blue if you do that. So it's primarily only ramming off cliffs, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I did see a lot of questions came in the last little bit there. If we can, we'll get to some of them. But if you ask one in the last few minutes, you might need to repost.
I did read a
we're-
question, and I feel attacked because they said that there are many complaints and feedback on the forums that we don't check. No, we check them. I guarantee you. That's my job. I check them.
KrzyBooP is on the forums every day, reading all of the very excellent and profound things you all say there.
Confirmed Japanese TD line is...
I did say, Doug on Facebook asked if KrzyBoop's hair is green. It is.
It is.
He's testing out some stuff for his Halloween costume.
When you
so
say up in the air, do you mean that we're considering it? Because we've already said that we're considering it.
there is one in development. However, there's absolutely no timeline on it.
We're ready
so
to go.
we're
See.
ready to count down
All
tier
right.
5 whenever.
Tier-
So yeah, Japanese TDs. It's definitely something the dev team has put a little work into, but at this time, it's not looking like it's going to be anytime soon.
5,
The good news is that's because
4,
we're working on some other stuff.
3,
So
2,
more announcements on new content
1.
lines
go.
coming in the future.
Hopefully we don't get tier 7 because Voss doesn't have a non-pref matchmaking tank.
Oof.
Oh yeah. Oh, we could have switched over. Oh well. Any other
Let's
ones?
see.
I saw Hot Dog and Buns talking earlier about how they are almost done with the frontline grind. Awesome.
Congrats.
You get it done in the final episode next month, hopefully.
Also, I know there's a lot of you who are in chat. We are going to be dropping the weekly watcher code today at 5:35. So that's in about 50 minutes. 50, not 15.
The Pamaku?
Osprey says the Sherman 2 is unplayable. What is the Sherman 2?
There's a Sherman 2?
What?
Do-do-do-do.
The second Sherman. The Jumbo?
Wait, next month is final, so does that mean no front lines for the rest of the year? Yes.
That'll be the end of this season of Frontline.
The season of
Frontline
Frontline,
will-
I believe,
will
started
be back.
in February.
Yes,
and
February
ran
through November.
Runs until next month.
So-
Oh, E2. They're talking about the easy.
Oh.
The Jumbo?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah.
I don't think the Jumbo is unplayable. It's so the trick to the Jumbo is you got to use the stock turret with the derp gun, the 105, and then you have to play it like a support heavy because it's not a medium.
Yeah.
But it's definitely not unplayable.
But no.
Like the
guys,
VK 30.1H is also a heavy, but I can't play it as a heavy because it does not has the armor.
Yeah. Frontline will come back next year. It will come back next year. Don't worry if you guys like Frontline. Just be a little patient. Just be a little patient.
I will say, like, guys, I understand sometimes like a vehicle may not be optimal, but there's a difference between viable and optimal.
Yeah.
Just because a tank is not the absolute best in its role doesn't mean it's not playable.
Cardin Narfa says, can something be done to increase grand battles? Seems unfair to those of us who don't like postage stamp maps or corridors. The cool kids all opted out, making it impossible to populate MM.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think grand battles are in a tough spot right now, and I do hope I'm with you on that card actually. I don't have an answer as to what the solution is, but I would say that we definitely know there's a problem. So I hopefully we get there. And I would say there's a couple problems in the game like that that we're looking for solutions for at this time. And when the devs find them they like, we'll be able to talk about that with you.
And then I moved my mic away and I got real quiet. Noticing a lot of new branches are starting from Tier 8, and besides the new nations, haven't gotten a branch starting from the lower tiers. Any chance the lower tiers may get some love soon? I mean, the French wheeled tanks starts at tier, what is it, tier 6?
Yeah, but that's kind of what he's saying.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
fair.
yeah.
I
And
guess,
then
I,
for
guess I
the
consider
new-
tier 6 like low tier. I mean, I guess we'll see.
So here's the thing. There's less of a priority to produce content below tier 5 because most people don't spend a lot of time on that content. For the amount of work that we put into, for example, the tier 3 and 4 Polish vehicles versus how much people play them, it's... I mean, don't get me wrong. I know there's people out there who love that stuff, and we appreciate you. We try and make a game that you'll like. But the vast majority of people aren't going to play the tier 3 or tier 4 Polish tanks a ton. So it doesn't make a ton of sense to spend resources on those vehicles, and it's also getting harder to find those vehicles just because we've got so many vehicles in the game. Anyway, I hope that's a decent enough reason for you. It doesn't mean we won't do more in the future, but they will probably be rarer.
And then we have, will XVM sniping ever be addressed? Yes, we have the anonymizer coming. We've actually talked about this a few times during the stream. We also have it as a part of our, frequently asked questions. So if you guys want...
I didn't know that ditch was there.
I
I'm gonna die
can
now.
post the link to that in a minute. And then Cardinarfa is bringing up the 430U again. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely here for you on the 430U. Again, it's just one of those things. It's one of those changes that doesn't make sense to make until after the larger balance change, and will hopefully be addressed as part of the larger balance change.
Yeah. So
but-
if you're expecting any balance changes, wait until after the ammo rework. So.
Yeah, and I think a lot of tanks are going to get balanced as a part of that patch just by necessity because so many vehicles are being changed by the mechanics changes.
Do not change that tank before I get it, says IMJ Man.
Which tank?
No promises.
The 430U.
Yeah, I can't make any comments on timeline. So
Yeah. And then, so there was a longer comment earlier from Kurt. They said they submitted a ticket with a replay
see,
and
that's
got,
why HE's toxic guy.
and got a suspension, appealed the suspension, and got a copy-paste answer as always. So for one, our CSRs respond to hundreds of tickets a day. Please do not take it as an insult if you get a copy-paste answer. Sometimes it's just easier, like, try writing a birthday card 1,000 times instead of printing out the same one. Otherwise, the guilty party was able to continue playing without punishment. I now have one and only mark against me due to lack of proper investigation. I knew blah, blah, blah. He had friends tracking this person. So, I mean, and they say they don't trust the system anymore.
Well, I'm not
it
gonna
happens sometimes.
bullshit you and say that the system doesn't
Yeah.
have flaws, or that it never makes oversights. That's for sure. But I will say, we're happy to look into this. Please send us the name of the person involved, and I'll happily personally go over the ticket with them. Obviously, we can't do that for all tickets, but I appreciate you coming here with the problem, and we're happy to try and figure out if anything did go wrong.
Is there a
I will
loophole to survive?
just so you know, a lot of the times that people say they didn't do anything wrong, we find pretty frequently they did in fact do something wrong.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that's true in this case, but the majority of times that is the case.
And then we have, there's two questions that I wanted to read. Chuck P91 says about anonymizer, will it take blacklists into account? Not sure what that means. Please expand on that.
We also don't know a full, like what the
Yeah, we don't
anonymizer
know
will
all
do.
of the details.
Yeah,
We don't have all that information.
I mean, I would say I don't see where the conflict is, because
Yeah.
the anonymizer will affect your account only. It shouldn't affect your chat as far as
Yeah.
who you have
And
blacklisted.
then Little T says, will we get more maps as immersive as the new Frontline map? I love the deep snow, how it looks, and would really like similar maps.
I did see-
working a lot of maps. Well, I mean, specifically Pearl River, but...
Heads up, Z. I bounced 2 shots in a row off a Stug.
okay.
There you go. Let me see if I got any.
Bounce 2 shots. So that's row 1, 5. row.
We had at least one Sherman Gang member in the last one, but I don't think enough to get the thing. I did see Traffic Cone had a thing saying that they would love to play more lower tiers, especially with the HP buff changes. Hey, I hope that remains true. If those buffs come through, I hope low tiers become a more enjoyable experience for everyone, and maybe that will even change some of the priorities. I'm just saying, as it is now, we put a lot of work into these tank model guys. I mean, the level of fidelity that we're offering here, especially coming out with ray tracing, is pretty good. If you have a high-end PC, World of Tanks looks pretty amazing. And we put a lot of time in making sure that the dimensions are right. We don't always get it right, but when we do have something pointed out to us that is wrong, we fix it.
Wasn't there a story about rivets being wrong on one of the tanks, and we had to fix it?
Yeah. Where ships is even worse because the models are even bigger and more complicated, so they've had to rebuild entire models. Like they got somewhere. But yeah, so for the investment that we put into a tank model, most players spending like 2 battles in a tank, it makes it hard.
So
to
Chuck,
get excited about doing a lot of them.
I'm going to answer Chuck's question. If I blacklist someone and they go anonymized, will I have to listen to them again?
No.
No. I mean, for one, we don't 100% know how the anonymizer works. For 2, you're still going to be able to blacklist people. We haven't announced any changes to that. Like, you're still going to be able to keep people from chatting from you and from messaging
Anonymizer is a
it just
cover
hides
for
your
you.
stats.
It's a cover for you.
Yeah.
By the way, GG Voss, who was our community team member there, we got the win.
Yeah.
How was that?
All right, so that was Voss?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I got to get rid of
I've actually been, I'm going to jinx myself now, but with the exception of the KV2 game, things have been going pretty well so far today.
You're welcome.
We have
Thanks,
Dave13
KrzyBooP.
Jones, who is also Streamer's Choice. And then after
Yep.
that, we have
Your turn.
Buster Brown,
Oh,
a.k.a.
no, that was
Hot
me.
Yeah.
Dogs. And that is Tier 8.
There we go. Okay, so we're getting the next guy in the platoon. BRG Itch says we forgot to count in. I don't think we did.
No, we did not.
We definitely counted in. That was a Tier 9, right?
That was tier 6.
Tier 6, yeah.
Oh, tier 5. Sorry.
Osprey says play the British Sherman. Are you referring to the Firefly Premium or the Tech Tree Sherman 3? Osprey. I do. Zachary, you have a comment I've seen a couple times about dead space on maps. For example, Runeberg 3.5. I don't have a good answer for you, Zachary. That might be it's a pretty broad topic. It might be something I'd have to talk to the map devs about as far as why there is.
Tier 8.
I do understand what you're saying, though. I don't have a great answer for you at this time.
So we have 3 questions. So Cyclop, 2
Tier
says, what about spam filter
I
about
heard.
map pinging? So I think that would have to do with adjusting the chat system, because I think it works on the chat system. But once we rework the chat system at some point, we'll probably be able to keep that. But otherwise,
I have some new news on, well, not new news, but some new old news on that.
Yeah.
So we talked a little bit about chat in our recent summit meetings, which some of you were aware happened last week, and.
Yes.
Chat is one of those things that has appeared on the roadmap each of the last 3 or 4 years, and it's been pushed back each time because basically we talk sometimes about spaghetti code, or how there's this code that was put in the game 10 years ago that is sort of not up to modern standards as far as how it's built and designed. And the chat is probably the biggest single example of that. It's such a mess that replacing it is a far larger task than you would ever undertake unless you wanted to maintain the rest of the game client, which of course we do because we happen to like World of Tanks. So it is something that's on the list, but literally making even a small change like adding a ping filter is apparently
kind of breaks things.
Beyond the ability of keeping the chat system stable while doing.
Just think of all the huge chat outage of what was it, last year?
2017.
You guys may not know this.
Now, it didn't affect everyone, but a lot of people didn't have a working friends list for 3 months, 4 months.
How many times have I asked for this? For chat to get something?
Yeah. Right. KrzyBooP has been trying to get certain tools in chat for a long
and then
time.
Phil
I'm like, can we not have AIM chat anymore?
Frank Booth says, will the anonymizer be voluntary? Yes, 100%.
Yes.
That'll be something you opt into. Sorry, I missed it.
Phil Can says, will Wargaming address cheat programs? We're constantly addressing that.
Yep.
In general, we don't release how we know that you have a cheat pack or whatever, war pack, whatnot. For those people who don't know, World of Tanks is run almost solely server side, and so any conventional cheats on games like CS:GO or whatnot, those kinds of cheats don't work. So you can't use auto aim as you would in CS:GO, or you can't see where people are because everything is run server side. You would literally have to hack the actual World of Tanks server, and then outside of that, you know, it's gonna be funny, but I'm gonna bring it up. RNG keeps a lot of that kind of stuff down to a minimum if someone is using a aimbot or whatnot. And then outside of that, most things that are considered cheats barely give you an advantage. So there are things like...
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely stuff out there that gives you an unfair advantage that we definitely ban people for regularly. I believe we're actually due for one in the very near future.
Yeah.
But
I had to skip Davy Jones, by the way. I went to
Okay.
Buster Brown, so we're
Alright.
ready for the... Oh, not ready yet. He's picking a tank.
Tier 8.
Tier 8.
Yeah,
Still?
so we're
Okay.
already there.
All right, and then after
We're ready
that
now.
is CY. I think that's how. Let me copy paste that instead. Actually,
Josiah says the only thing Watt does well is that cheats are both bad and hard to use.
tier 8. Get ready.
Yeah, I would say that the biggest problems, the biggest problem with cheats is the ones that give you additional tactical information, like where somebody is. And those are the ones that we've really cracked hard down on. There's also a couple aimbot ones that kind of add additional features to the normal right-click auto aim. So those are also banned and something we've prioritized a lot. You know, it's on.
But some of the mods that...
A lot of questions come in. A lot of good questions today, guys.
Some
I
of the
appreciate
mods
it.
that were banned are actually... That were not banned, but were good for World of Tanks, we incorporated.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah.
Like
the-
the arty
Yeah.
viewpoint or
And
whatever.
then the range circles.
5,
The...
4,
Oh, here we go. Countdown.
3,
I'm ready.
2,
Tier 8.
1, go.
Okay, so yeah, a lot of good questions, guys. Sorry if we're not getting them the first time. And Cinder, I saw you pinging me, but I didn't see why.
Wait until after ammo rework for any vehicle balancing. Boom. There you go, Zames.
That is unfortunately.
We're not ready yet.
Guess what,
You're
Incendiary?
driving the Senlac.
What? What? I'm guessing what? Captain Napalm said Cabbage when I opened WGC was all in Russian, which is very frustrating. I'm sorry to hear that. That definitely shouldn't happen. I hope you got it fixed without too much issues.
You like my Joker tank?
It's
It's got a huge smile for
How
you.
does that go with your green hair?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Let's swap to that one. Ugh. Creepy.
All right, hold on. I gotta think about what I'm gonna do this game. I think I'm gonna go right side to hilltop.
Ghost wants you to spot the enemy mid-snipers.
Any
Who?
plans to remake clan strongholds to something similar to warships? Less XP to unlock tanks and less repair bills? Not that we know
Want the
of.
game to be easier?
Llama and shouts at Wills are platooning, and you got in their game instead of ours. That's hilarious.
How does one get to platoon with you? So, since we only have a couple of people left in the platoon,
There's a magic link.
all you have to do is go to that link and sign up.
One does not simply platoon. No. I'm
Oh.
not
See,
halting.
Cardinarfa says they
Oh,
took
no,
a
my
bunch of
driver got killed.
screenshots about Gen Chat going off. He's asking if there are any moderators to moderate this chat.
Gen Chat?
Yeah.
There are no live moderators in Gen Chat, although I think lately Shots at Wills has been in there
Yep.
doing a test, in part to demonstrate the need for more there. But we do catch people all the time and ban them for stuff they say in Gen Chat. It's just the bans get applied. They get picked up by our script, the bot that reads the chat scripts, and then hits flags words. So they do end up getting banned. It just happens not live. Unfortunately, it's expensive to have someone do that all the time. I'd kind of rather you know, there are a lot of better, more practical, more modern solutions to our chat system. Unfortunately,
What?
they all require the really expensive chat remake that we were just talking about. Why it hasn't
Yeah.
happened yet? It's basically just because due to the age of the game client, fixing the chat is a much more costly and time-intensive process than it really should have to be.
Yeah?
Yes. Oh, am I soapboxing?
No, but you were doing a really long rant, so I wanted to
Oh, I guess I was
put you up there.
soapboxing.
And then we have, there was a
didn't feel like it was
question
that
I
long.
wanted to look at. Mats with 3 T's says, why does Wargaming reward you with styles that are restricted to tier 8 and up? If you don't have a tier 8, then it just sits there. I believe that's due to the fact that with our styles system, currently only tier 8, 9, and 10 can get styles, and I think some tier 6s, I believe.
Yeah, I mean the short answer is because the style system
still working on
isn't
it.
fully implemented into the game yet.
Yeah.
So some of those tiers don't have access to it. It's not built for them yet.
And then Alan Mobley says, is the Ghost Halloween battle with the monster tank coming back? Something very similar.
It's
or
gonna
at least
be-
with a similar storyline.
Yeah, it's supposed to be closer to last
Yeah.
year's than the Leviathan one. That was my understanding, but more information soon.
I have a question. Is Sheriff coming back? Always. We're
Yes.
actually working on one.
Yep.
So,
I think I
soon.
told you guys in another stream last month or 2 months ago that we were going to do a big turkey shoot event in November, and Jamie John's actually been working on that the last few days. So
And as usual, you guys will be the first to be able to sign up. We will post the sign up link. What?
Oh, KrzyBooP also wants some credit for the work he's been doing on it.
Yes,
Thank
there
you.
you go. Okay, I was like, what did I do?
Yep, sorry. Jamie John's been driving it, but KrzyBooP has done some art and
Yes.
some other stuff.
So Crazy and
Appreciate you,
Jamie have been
KrzyBooP.
working on these, but basically, guys, if you want to be able to sign up for sheriff events, come here first because you guys always get first dibs. If you guys are here, you will be the first to receive the sign up link.
Just
And it's
fair
even
warning.
before Discord.
This
so,
time you'll be signing up to be a turkey instead of a sheriff.
yeah.
So it's a little less cool sounding. Did that really go under the ammo box in the back? Wow.
Probably. Let's see. Link to bingo. We will post the bingo link if we're getting close to having 5 in a row. Otherwise,
Wow,
gonna
okay.
be reading a couple.
Yeah, I didn't block a thing.
Let's see.
My tank didn't block any shots.
That's unfortunate.
So Sean
can't get anything
Mack
to go where I'm
is
aiming it.
asking why we don't combine our games. I'm guessing because they're asking about tanks.
You know,
planes.
that was actually the vision at one point.
Yeah,
planes would
it
win.
And
was.
it hit a point where all the games went in different directions, and integrating them in any
Are we
meaningful
close to a
fashion
bingo?
became too difficult.
Also,
But
planes
there
would win.
was a time when integrating all three was
Oh, we are.
a goal.
And World of Warplanes
Huh.
would win.
Oh no.
There would be no reason to drive a tank if you could fly.
Oh no! Don't tell
That's
Cabbage
actually
what it is.
not true.
It is true.
Wait, did Incinder ever get back with the guess what thing? Sorry, I totally missed it because the game
I
started.
don't think I saw. Let me look through. Sherman Gang is now live.
Oh, did he make a clan?
Did you?
That's awesome.
Incinder,
Why are
did
you
you-
blocking me, Email One? What are you doing? What?
Trying to get you to flip your
Of
tank.
all the places on the map.
Did you know that if you flip your tank, we complete the bingo?
Do we?
Yeah. Flip tank, says Vex the best. All spaces, all the time. So Cabbage, hashtag Sherman Gang has finally been made.
Oh man,
by
I'm gonna have to leave
yours
WJ and join. Oops.
truly.
No.
That's not a flip.
Why?
Nice try.
I tried, guys.
Nice try, Gravity.
I tried.
You tried so.
The
so
one
hard.
time I can't flip is when I try. That's one thing I've
It's
learned.
true.
Did we just win by cap?
Oh,
After I
snap.
filled the flip.
That's actually that's a spot. Where's the
Oh man.
base capture win?
I
That
tried
is
to flip, folks. I tried to flip.
one-
It's not over, and I'm not in my bot.
Not in studio mode. My bad. That was a lot of different things. That's row 1, Cabbage 3.
Burgich says, hey, World of Tanks NA, do all the updates you talk about on NA come to EU, or do they come a bit later? Most of the stuff that we're talking about as far as actual game stuff will come to all servers. The regional stuff, for example, like event stuff,
Post-it note.
stuff like the sheriff, the turkey event, that's NA only. So we'll always help you distinguish if you ever have a question, but generally that'll be different. Hachata-chan
Wow.
on Twitch says, will NA and EU servers ever merge? I mean, you never say never, but not anytime in the near future. I know a lot of people like to peddle that theory that at any time now NA is going to shut down and get merged into EU. I can promise you that's not going to happen, and there's a lot of reasons why. Most pressingly is there's no actual need to. The NA community is smaller. It's an older game, but it's not in any danger of running out of players.
Is there any tanks on EU that we don't have?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
The only server that has a different vehicle set is the Chinese server that's run by
I have a question. I play EU and NA and use a mod that lets you switch
Nice
servers
and
instead of
simple.
re-downloading
Appreciate
the
you.
client. Is that illegal? No, that doesn't give you any advantage in the game.
Yeah, that's
Also,
what
on
illegal
top
mods
of that,
do.
our WGC actually does that.
Yeah.
Like, you can use WGC to switch your regional client, so that way you don't have to re-download a new client to do so, because the old client didn't actually do that. You actually had to re-download the entire game.
Tier 10.
So,
Yeah, I know it's a huge speculation among player base. It has been for years, and then it was wrong years ago, and it's still wrong. I mean, it's not the most unreasonable thing in the world from an outside perspective, but like I said, it's just the pressure isn't there, and there are actually practical reasons to keep them separate. I did see John on Twitch mention that so many people say the game is dying, longest game of death I've ever seen. Yeah, I would. I think most games would love to die like World of Tanks has died since 2014.
like if we bring up some of the games that have
Yeah.
died in recent years, we can bring up.
We're
things
we're,
like
n- well,
kind of-
we're not going to do that for a lot of reasons. Most pressingly, we work. The game industry is a relatively small industry,
Yeah.
and we know and love a lot of people who work for other game companies. We wish everyone well, and we wish the market was big enough to make all games successful. We've been fortunate enough that from your guys' support that World of Tanks NA is still quite strong. Still quite
Alrighty.
strong, guys.
Bingo link is up. Are you guys ready for the count-in?
Zachary,
Yeah,
I tried to give you an answer on the dead space on maps. Zachary, on
We're doing tier 6.
Yeah.
4.
Wait,
Oh,
what? I thought we
wait,
were in tier
what?
10. What happened?
He didn't respond.
Oh, okay, so we're
I
switching
know.
up.
Okay,
Switching up.
never mind.
Abandon the count-in.
Rip.
Technical difficulties.
Abandon. I already did that one.
Dang it.
Abandon.
All right, so I'm playing tier 6, and I should pick a tank that maybe rolls over at some point in the battle.
Nah.
Maybe a little bit of a rollover.
Nah.
Maybe a little bit of tipsy-whipsy.
That's the guy that killed me last
All right,
game.
sorry. So, yeah, somebody on YouTube said, Zachary, you said on YouTube, Zachary on YouTube. This is for you, Zachary, on YouTube.
I don't like you, Max.
You're talking about why is there so much dead space on maps? I'm honestly going to have to ask that question to a dev, Zachary. I don't have a great answer for you now.
We're ready.
All right. Tier 6. Tier 6. Get ready.
You see that guy?
Huh.
I don't like him.
Why?
He always kills me.
Ah.
Always. Without
Alright.
without
5,
hesitation.
4, 3, 2, 1. Og.
Go.
Oh, go.
Yeah.
You said Og. What
Yeah.
was is that another language?
Why has... No, I swat the letters
G-Man
when
says because
typing.
they want to funnel us down 3 paths. So sometimes that is that is certainly part of it, right? Is to funnel people into a conflict area. I will say, guys, what
I mean,
whenever
League of Legends does that.
well,
You
well,
literally have
World of
like
Tanks isn't
3
League of Legends.
paths.
But whenever we make a map that is enclosed, people say it's a quarter map. Whenever we make a map that's more open, people call it an arty bait map. I mean, we try and find a compromise, guys, but obviously most maps
Yeah.
are going to be biased one way or the other because it's hard not to. And then cue someone in chat who's going to tell us that all the maps are terrible and that anyone they could totally do better. Hey, maybe you're right, but I'm telling you, it's harder than you probably think it is.
By the way,
to
League has
find a map with
4
the right
maps.
balance.
Building mechanics in the game. I don't think so. It hasn't really been a Whoa, why am I moved?
Yeah.
Hi.
I don't know.
What happened?
Hi,
What is this?
hanging out.
What? I honestly
Plague
don't know what
through you.
happened. What?
League of Legends has 4 maps, by the way.
Yeah, but it's all majority is on one map, isn't it?
I don't understand.
Well,
Summoners
there's
are-
different game modes that have different
Yeah,
maps.
and they have TFT now too, but it's not unfair to say League has one map. The actual game has one
I
map.
don't know what happened there, guys. That was super weird. I also saw a couple comments. But yeah, building damage, I don't think so. Kurt Jez says, great stream. I've been tuning in for a while, and I've enjoyed every stream while playing World of Tanks at the same time. Thank you, Kurt.
Cool.
Much appreciated.
Oh no, I just got KV2'd for so much, and nobody's shooting the KV2. Come on, guys.
So Thunderbolt, we didn't close the. I mean, yes, we did close the California office, but we moved. It was a move. It wasn't just a straight shutdown. The NA office for publishing still exists. We are it.
Correct.
Many of us are actually from California.
Correct.
And we have never denied that World of Tanks does have a leak of a player base. Most games of our age do. However, our game is almost absolutely one of the longest surviving games.
Yeah, and
outside of that.
I'm so I'm assuming he brought up the California office closing as an example that we're full of crap. The California office closed for a lot of reasons, and we're not the only gaming company to close their offices in California.
Yeah.
Cart says migrating tech offices
Blizzard
has been smart business for 20 years.
laid off a bunch of people.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm a Californian. I was born in Los Angeles. I spend most of my adult life in the Bay Area. California has made some public policy decisions that are driving away businesses. That's just the truth. There's no other way to put it. And there's a lot of business reasons to not be in California that have nothing to do with how World of Tanks is doing. And the office closure itself was a complicated issue that had a lot of reasons behind it, none of which can be summarized by those public policy things or World of Tanks declining in population. So it's it's not an unfair point to make. I'll say that much, though. It's totally valid to bring that up in this conversation.
I got shot through a rock. Is that a bingo square?
I'm going to die because I made the wrong decision. Yep.
No? Oof.
Because I got shot through a rock. Just saying.
Oh, I just realized something.
I still love California, by the way. Who besides Blizzard still has offices in California? Amazon Games has a big studio in SoCal, actually quite near Blizzard. Google's Stadia team, I believe, is based there.
Pixar.
Not a game company.
What is the technical limits to not being able to log on to whichever server players want in any region? Are you talking like same account across servers? Because that's a back end difference. So the difference between all of the servers is the back end is different. Outside of that, there's no technical limitation to having the client being able to move. Like WGC already allows you to swap to a different client or region.
And
regional client.
our team folded like a wet paper bag.
I got shot through a rock.
Is that a thing?
World of Tanks NA, there were 2 Sherman gangs in the enemy team, me and someone else. I was the KV2 that shot
Nice.
Cabbage. Nice. I thought that was a really cheeky move. I was pretty disappointed when you didn't get nuked because that was a very aggressive play for a KV2.
Yeah.
Post-it note, please.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
With the command center, can I open both my NA account and my EU account?
Probably not
I
at the same
believe
time.
so, but you'll have to switch between the accounts. So with one account, you can switch between clients that you can use the same account on. For example, Sandbox, Common Test, NA server. I believe you would be able to use your EU client, but you would have to switch to your EU account and then have the EU client also downloaded. I believe that will work. I actually think I've done it when I was in Europe, not in the summer last year. I had the EU client downloaded, so I believe it should still be possible.
And then Hazigan says, do you think map creators will ever add weather effects? So we've actually talked about this a little bit on stream before.
Ooh.
Basically, there are a lot of limitations when it comes to weather effects. One of them is, can we optimize it? We optimized ray tracing, so at this point, honestly, I'm saying it could be a possibility. I don't think, however, we would add it as a mechanic, mostly because, for one, ships has a mechanic similar to that. It's a cyclone, and a lot of players don't like that. And honestly, I would be, like, personally, I'm against complicating the vision mechanics even more within the game itself, because it's already complex enough that sometimes even the best of players don't really understand why things happened. And then outside of that, Doug is repeating his question.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll ever include building damage into the game, whether you're talking about debris falling on a tank, blah, blah, blah.
So I'll be honest, Doug, it's a really cool idea, and I'm not against it. I would say put that in the same category as like weather and terrain effects, which is one of those things that is maybe just lower priority. And also, I have to be honest, thinking about how the mechanics of how that would work, I think it would add a lot of pressure to the game engine as far as tracking objects collapsing. So I think it's a really cool idea. It's a really next-gen idea. I don't think we'll see it in the current iteration of World of Tanks.
Says we have weather effects on console, and it's awful. Yeah. All
So,
right, tier 10 counted?
Actually,
tier 5.
Oh, tier 5. Why do y'all keep changing your tiers in-game?
You erased Crazy Max tier 5, and
Oh, my bad,
Rude.
tier 5.
Dab, dab.
Get ready.
So I did see Minio said, "Sorry guys, I'm just not that good." Hey Minio, you were fine. We were just as bad as you. Don't worry about
buddy, I got shot through a rock. It's cool.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
So a lot of.
Tier 5.
It is a really sincerely, it's a cool idea, Doug. I remember games like Battlefield Bad Company 2 had that kind of like serious
4,
gameplay, meaningful
3,
building destruction.
2,
I think it'd be rad. I think it'd be
1.
awesome.
Go.
It is getting easier.
Okay, hold on. We got
because
another big
Yeah.
Thunderbolt one I want to answer. Sorry, go ahead, Crazy.
It is getting easier because most recently, shooter games have started to include like the inside of a building. So when you shoot through it, you can actually see the inside of the building. So that's a major leap. I don't know if you guys know about all the weird technical stuff about video games, but that is a leap in like realism that wasn't available before because machines wouldn't be able to handle it. Most recently, Monster Hunter World has environment interaction where you can use the environment to like attack the many dinosaurs and monsters, and like you can run up trees now and jump off of them. That wasn't heard of before in video games. So maybe depends on the lifespan of World of Tanks and if they want to include all that fun stuff, but it could happen.
Yeah.
Do you want me to read off the
So I just read it. I don't think we need to read the whole thing. So Thunderbolt had some nice things to say about California, which I completely agree. It is a beautiful state. And the publishing office had nothing to do with design or development.
Besides player feedback, our feedback, things like that.
Yeah, but development
regional input.
development is and will remain in Minsk, not in the U.S. server.
So
yes, this is the USC server.
We're all publishing.
See you, Doug.
So it like we do have input, but it isn't all development here. In fact, we don't have any developers within this office whatsoever. So no impact on any sort of development happened with the move. So.
Yep. So somebody asked why we keep responding to them. We want to give everyone a fair shake as long as they give us one.
Yeah.
As long as people aren't being outright toxic and unreasonable, we'll try and answer their questions. And I understand where Thunderbolt's coming from. I certainly myself have been trying to complete campaigns and been extremely frustrated by what Matchmaker's given me. So I think that's a real problem. I don't disagree. Unfortunately, I think that some of the snowballing effects is just part of the way the game is constructed as a 15 versus 15 with a longer time to kill. But I would like to see a reduction myself, and I understand where he's coming from, that it's a frustrating experience for him.
And then
it's a frustrating experience for me, too.
we have a really long comment from Patton about the HE Sandbox stuff. So before I read that entire thing, I will reiterate, guys, the Sandbox is not technically a part of development. It is a part of a different sort of section of game testing.
I would say it's definitely a part of development.
It's part of
but it's not part of.
development,
I think what
it's
you're trying to
testing.
say. It's not part of the live.
Yes, it's
pipeline.
not a part of the live pipeline.
So
it's not live development. It is a separate section where the devs can just test whatever the heck they want to test. And then here's the actual development line, which is super test, common test,
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bunch of iterations,
So,
maybe.
so as
live
many of you
test.
know, common test is basically a way to try and see if everything is working technically before a patch goes live. It's less about actually like trying to find balance. Everyone gets on there and spams gold, and people are like, "Well, if they're doing that, how are they balancing from that?" The answer is the balancing isn't really done in common test. Common test is does this work?
So, Patton, while I understand your concern,
Yeah.
there doesn't really need to be a concern unless it hits something like super test or common test, and you
But-
will absolutely know if it does.
But also, I really want to. So there was a longer. Can you scroll up too? There was a Facebook
Yeah.
that was a very similar. So Patent Tinker and Keep Going. There was a long Facebook post a little bit ago that I wanted to address, but we just had so much coming through.
I don't think so.
There
I'm
was-
not seeing any.
Yeah, William on Facebook had a comment saying if HE changes go through, I'll quit the game. I don't like them, etc. William, please go check out. We do have some changes to the original Sandbox changes that came live today. But like Tragic said, please don't take anything that's on the Sandbox as this is about to hit the live server. It's not even close.
Yeah.
And again, there have been some changes made to the Sandbox today that might have already improved your opinion of what the changes are. I do think there was still a valid complaint earlier. Someone said that the HE changes still feel like they're dumbing down the game. I think that is still technically true. But as far as like the actual balance of HE, I think today's patch would indicate to you that that is something we still care about. And we'll do a lot of fine-tuning on before it gets anywhere close to live. And that's one thing that the devs have really stressed to us, to stress to you guys, and so we're going to continue doing that. Please don't take the actual literal values on the Sandbox too seriously. They are all going to change a lot before anything goes to the live server. So don't take the previous iterations' values too seriously, where HE was hardly doing any damage. Don't take the current iterations too seriously, where some HE is doing a hilarious amount of damage. It will all get fine-tuned, I promise to you that.
Oh, I can hear the game. Didn't even notice.
I got 2 kills, but did barely any damage. That was a sweet. GG, Crazy Max.
Did you read Thunderbolt's message?
Nope, not the most recent one.
So he said.
Yeah, that was a roll.
The decision is based in Minsk and based on this. There you go.
I do want to get patents. Yeah, again, patent tinker, same thing as what I just said. Just because the original values on the HE change, that test was all about making the new HE mechanics and seeing if they worked. The fine tuning of whether it's a nerf or whatever has yet to be done. And I think right now the current iteration of the Sandbox, some of the HE appears to be overtuned. At least the screenshot of the IS-7 that I saw earlier today with 6k damage shooting only HE certainly seemed to indicate. So please don't.
We're addressing you.
It's not necessarily a nerf patent tinker.
Yeah.
So there was another one after
Yes,
that. Sorry, back from T-Bolt. Decisions based in Minsk are based on how well received changes are in Russian feedback. I am passionate about the game. I have a lot of time and money invested. Many decisions and updates have been disappointing. You have to make money, but satisfaction keeps business going.
We agree.
Thanks for being fair in your replies. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm glad you do appreciate that, and I certainly appreciate the support
Yes,
that you've
finally, tier 10.
shown our game.
Tier 10. Cabbage, do a flip.
I don't want to flip it tier 10.
Do a barrel roll.
You can flip it at the end.
So-
Will they ever build?
Sorry, I'm getting
a
on. Let me
Sandbox?
finish my reply to Thunderbolt. So here's the thing, guys. Your feedback is certainly considered as a part of the development process. However, as many of you, thank you for putting me on my soapbox.
Gotcha.
As many of you have noted, sometimes the Russian feedback seems to win. The unfortunate reality of the situation is that RU as a server is much, much larger than the NA server. EU as a server is much, much larger than the NA server. It doesn't mean we don't have a voice, but it does mean that sometimes if there's direct conflict and we're trying to serve the largest amount of people, what are you doing? Please don't punch there.
Leave him alone. He's so boxy.
But yes, that is true. But it's a function of the size of the game, and it doesn't mean that we NA doesn't get stuff in the game or that the input isn't. A lot of times, compromises are made that they're not happy with, in part because we're trying to get something more appetizing to you guys. But it's not untrue that a lot of the times the different regions have disagreements about what they think is best, and sometimes we lose.
Leave his nuts and bolts alone, you.
Is that what happened? Leave his
right.
Green Viper. That's pretty good. Sucks top. I want to refund my KV2R. Please, please, before asking for refunds, make sure it's going to hit the live server before you ask for a refund.
So, did you answer Scyther? He said,
I
"You
did
sure?"
not.
Because during this test server, NA forums and Reddit.
Yeah,
So just because one region is 70% one way doesn't mean that the other server is also.
I actually, Scyther, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I personally thought the 268 V4 was problematic, and I think it took us way too long to nerf it. It's my personal opinion. I agree with you. I agree with you.
My point still stands. Doesn't mean just because NA is the one region that is against something doesn't mean that the other regions aren't in favor of it. And yes, like when all of the regions are like unanimously agreeing, like generally something happens. All right, are we ready?
We're ready.
10, tier 10, 19, tier 10, count in, get ready.
So Matthew said this is why
5,
NA is losing players. Sorry,
4,
finish the countdown.
3, 2, 1, go.
So Matt had a thing on Facebook about we're losing players because most of the time it goes in favor of the larger server. I mean, I would say, Matt, you're not entirely wrong. I would say there's probably some players who have left as a result of that. The reality of the situation is that World of Tanks as it currently exists is not really optimized for a Western audience. It's a pretty uncompromising, grind-heavy game. Those are true things. And that's not really what NA prefers. So I would say, in a sense, you're not wrong. However, some people really do like that kind of game, even at NA. And I would say that we actually do collect quite a lot of data on why people leave the game. And while you're not wrong that there are people who have left for that reason, our retention rate is actually really good if you compare it to other games in the industry. We actually, World of Tanks does a fantastic job of keeping players around overall. And part of that is because the people who really get into this game, it becomes a part of you. When you invest the time and the effort to learn the metagame, where you should go on a map, when you invest the time and effort to research a new tech tree and get a new high tier vehicle, the thing I like to say a lot is it inspires passion in people, and that's because when you lose, it's the most frustrating game in the world. When things don't break well, when you get the 15-1,
when you get shot through a rock,
when RNG's not with you and you miss
when
three
you miss
or
all
four
4
full aim
shots,
when you get RD'd for 1,200 damage in your Leopard 1 while on the move by a T92 HMC. Don't get me wrong, we've all been there. The flip side is that despite all those frustrations and all that uncompromising hardcore brutality, when it goes well, it's way better than other games.
Oh,
and I think most of you would agree with that. When you
Yeah.
get a good kill in World of Tanks, it's so much better than just like getting a random kill and like
Survive a
When you win that
2v1.
1v3,
that's
yeah.
where it's at.
So I mean that's kind of what we bank on, is that World of Tanks is even though it's not a simulation game, it's technically an arcade game, an arcade arena battle game. You could call it a lot of different things if you want, but the fact of the matter is that World of Tanks is more rewarding intellectually than most other shooters. And part of that is because of the uncompromising brutality that makes it not necessarily an amazing fit for the North American region. I mean, there are games out there that are a lot easier and a lot more basic than World of Tanks that are far more successful in North America. But that's not what World of Tanks is. World of Tanks is a hardcore shooter for hardcore people, and you can take that to the bank. I'm done ranting. Sorry, guys.
no, you're good.
Keep in mind
and then
the amount of competition that America has for World of Tanks.
yeah.
That World of Tanks has to survive through.
Yeah, Patent Tanker says, over and over again, I'm left with the distinct impression that many of the developers don't actually play the game. So I'll tell you that's like almost completely wrong.
It's actually
They're actually like
there's
so much better than actually most of the player base.
They are.
A lot of them are actually unicums.
There is
and, like,
hardcore
genuinely
competition
play.
on the dev team
Yeah,
to
like,
having the best stats.
The RU office itself is highly competitive.
When to give you guys an example of how serious it is, when the video team that makes the RNG videos presented to the product at large who they were and what they were doing, the very first slide included their WNA.
Yeah.
The very first thing that they wanted to tell to all the developers and all the publishing staff in the room to introduce themselves was their very good WN8 scores.
Okay.
Playing the game has taken, I would say, less so in our regional publishing office, to be honest, because a lot of the functions here are not as dependent. But the idea that the devs don't
Yeah.
play the game is nonsense.
But
Sorry, it
so
is.
Patton led that into talking about the HE changes. So guys, and Patton, I'm gonna address you directly. Patton Tanker, absolutely, the HE changes are a completely separate test. They are not guaranteed at all whatsoever to even go into super test. It will not make that path until the devs are fully sure that they are satisfied with it. I hope this helps reiterate and helps bolster the fact that you seem to be very upset with it, which is why I want to address you directly, Patton Tanker. We are saying this with absolute guarantee. Unless the devs are satisfied with it, the HE changes are only on the Sandbox server, which is a completely different test bed than the common test or the super test. It is not in the live development path. Okay? Cool. long
Yeah,
rant.
and again, for many of you, I think might be working with outdated information. The Sandbox server was updated this morning with a lot of changes that made HE more competitive. The initial iteration was literally just, we literally put in a new system for how the HE shells worked, as far as how they actually like flew across the map, hit a vehicle, and did damage. So that was the primary reason for the first test, actually getting the... that was a bad situation.
Poor child.
I'm in trouble now.
5 minutes. I said 5:35,
Oh, I'm
not
gonna die.
5:30.
Oof. That went very poorly. So here's where I messed up. I should not have gone north of the bridge.
I was not prepared for this tier 10 game.
Yeah, I shouldn't
You
have gone north
were
of the
not.
bridge. There's so many of them in mid. Oh wow.
Yeah.
Well, okay,
Oh,
so
I
they
got-
just swept
I
down
got
from
you
north
see that
really hard.
FV2 15B? Yeah,
Yeah.
that one clapped me for a lot of damage.
Matthew says, I do appreciate that the devs are more open to talk about development within the game than in past years. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we fought for really hard as far as, trying to have this show, for example, where we get to talk to you guys on a direct level. And
Transparency.
That's what this stream
Thank
is
you,
all
Rudolph.
about. You guys said very clearly that you wanted to be able to bring these issues up to someone who would respond, and that's the reason that we're here. Pardon us if we do get a little frustrated of having to give the same answer several times, but we understand it. That's why we're here, and we'll continue to do our best to give you a solid answer. And if we can't get the answer, we'll try and get you.
I even
your
made a
report.
forum post
Yeah.
about one of our most commonly asked questions.
Okay.
So Thunderbolt had another.
Don't mind the grind. It's giving us a 50-50 chance at the start of the battle when MM stacks and Unicum better players on one side. That is happening more often. I don't disagree with you, Thunderbolt. I do think that those matches are happening too often. So I don't actually disagree with you on that point specifically. That said, one thing that we'll continue to point to, because it's true, is that the kind of snowball matches that you see in random battles even happen against even matched clan teams, and part of that is we continually bring up the Lanchester Square Law.
Now, there is some flaws in the Lanchester Square Law because it specifically mentions two armies that are equally equipped. Now, there are tanks in here that are not equally equipped, and you're not going to put a heavy, it's not going to be heavy versus heavy all the time. It's not going to be medium versus medium. So there are variations in Lanchester Square Law, but then that just means that the snowball effect chance has even more chance of going out of control.
And faster.
Oh no, that poor bad chat.
But yes, so Green Viper says PRMM is needed. So in a specific way of design, yes, but solely PR-based MM
Thanks,
is
Solar
a
Flare.
horrible idea.
Yeah, I don't hate some. Scroll up. Somebody had.
Yeah.
David on Facebook said, "Why can't they segment players by skill level, etc.?" I don't totally disagree with those things, but I think the better option is have random battles be random and have other game modes available for people who want more competitive options. Yeah. I do.
That's how I
You can
think it
actually
should
We're
be.
about
pause the
into
game
code
launcher.
o'clock, aren't we?
Yeah, about 2 minutes.
2 minutes away.
So, let's get the next person, which is going.
Sorry,
to
guys. Like I
be-
said,
oops,
we have a
sorry.
lot of questions. Thank you, Solar Flare, for the game, by the way. Sorry I failed you. I made a really dumb decision after looping off my original position.
Pickle is up next, or Pekel.
Who loves orange soda? Piquel loves orange
So
soda.
Chuck P91 has just a different style question. I think it'd be good to mix it up a little bit. I've been playing for years. I only play random battles. I consider myself firmly rooted at mediocre. Any advice on how to get better? Is it watching videos, platooning more? The only thing I cannot do is play more hours because I want to stay married. Appreciate you, Chuck.
So want to stay married.
Platoon more for sure.
The very first thing that I would do is go rewatch the explaining mechanics videos on camouflage and penetration. And see if there's any game mechanics that you think you know everything about that maybe you could learn something more about. A lot of the time players get stuck at mediocre is because they don't know everything about how the vision system works and how the penetration system works, tier 8.
Tier 8.
And I frequently, I have found that I've watched those videos 3 times each and I've learned a couple new things each time. So that'd be my very first thing.
And they're in the newcomers forum under KBS videos.
And the second thing I would do is go watch a live stream of someone like True Voodoo or Guido,
People that
1212
are good.
Cartel, people who are good Unicums who will answer questions. Overlord Prime is a great guy to watch. Get on Twitch if you're not on Twitch. I know it's not the most easiest platform for older guys. You know, it's a new hip thing. But I promise you, there are World of Tanks streamers on there that you can go watch, you can chat to in chat, and will live answer your questions about why they did something that you maybe don't do in the same situation, or and a lot of them will discuss their decision-making process while they play. Again, Overlord Prime and Shrew both do an amazing job of that. So that would be my first. I would go watch the explaining mechanics videos, and then at your level, I would go watch a high-level player stream and try and learn from both watching their stream and from engaging them in chat with questions. Many of them are more than happy to answer questions from players in chat. And there's a lot of great higher-level
Yes,
guide
Liz, yeah.
content out there too from people like Guido and True
Cody.
Voodoo.
And sometimes it's just
Cody
your team.
Menz.
It's just the team
Yeah.
you were dealt. You have to work with it.
Yeah.
Oh, Chuck says I'm watching you on Twitch.
Skill
Yes.
4-2.
I kind of assumed you're on Facebook. Sorry
or
about that.
Platoon.
Yes, Cody Menz 100%. Cody's amazing.
You know,
Watt
for the
Guru.
longest time-
Check out his website. His website has a lot of good stuff on it. Skill 4 LTU, absolutely 100%. But yeah, I don't watch us to get better at the game. That's not why we're here.
Avoid what we're doing. If you take anything from
Basically.
this.
Yeah.
Like,
all
why
right.
did Crazy go out there?
I mean, learn from our mistakes, I would say.
Crazy went out there to try to flank someone
Yeah.
and then got hit from a million miles away through a rock.
In.
Yeah,
Good.
Orzanel.
All right. 5, 4, 3,
Sarkon,
2,
Cookie
1,
Baby.
go.
Sure. All of them. I just listed a few. I really think that, like, I would say Guido's an amazing watch because Guido's really good at the game and he's really good at breaking it down into simple terms, and he's really good about answering questions. I think True's the same way. I mean, you can definitely get, like, Sarkon 100% is amazing at the game and can give you a lot of good gameplay advice. But he also, usually stacks, like, 500-600 viewers or more, and his chat can get pretty rowdy. It can be pretty hard to actually, like, have a conversation. Not to say you shouldn't watch him, just I guarantee you that you catch True or Guido on the right night and you'll be able to have a longer conversation about how to get better with them in their chat.
Phil, unfortunately, they're not playing on their sheriff accounts.
So the Quickie Baby thing got brought up and somebody said, sure, why? So there are a lot of people who tell you that Quickie Baby's not the most skilled player in the game. However, here's the thing, I think, guys, is he's still better than 99% of the player base. He may not be a top tier Clan Wars guy, but he still is much better at the game than the average player and can still offer a lot of useful advice and tips to
Klaus is also good
people.
to watch.
Yeah, Klaus is not a bad player,
No.
but Klaus is definitely an entertainer. And he sure is entertaining. I love watching Klaus, guys. Klaus has the style of humor that I really appreciate. And it can be a little off-putting to people who don't understand what's happening, but it's hilarious. I love Klaus. So happy we got to meet him at the Aquino Tank Fest this year, and we got to put him on a tank ride. It was so cool.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Oh, the code's up. Hooray.
Larry, we are working on an anonymizer. We actually talked about this earlier in the stream, but basically it'll hide your stats. That's as far as we know.
Yeah, Matthew on Facebook pointed out Mountain Man is enjoyable to watch. Talks with his chat on what he's doing. Yeah, 100% Mountain Man too. Sorry guys, I'm not intentionally trying to exclude anyone. Just there are a lot of people. Tribes Monkey too. Tribes Monkey's probably the premier T49 player on the NA server. If you're a T49 devotee. So yeah, for sure. There's a lot of great resources out there, and I think
got me.
I personally have learned a lot from watching all
Pretty
those
sure
guys.
Ryan Reynolds is more famous than Klaus Kellerman, and he's Canadian.
Not in the World of Tanks community.
Not in the World of Tanks. Well, actually, quite possibly in the World of Tanks community. I mean, how many people have watched Deadpool?
He is.
Who's Deadpool?
I'm just trying to give Klaus some clout.
Cyclop2 asks, what is the code for? So basically, if you guys are new to the stream, which I am actually assuming a lot of you might be because there's a lot of you in chat today. So if you guys don't know what the weekly watcher code is, it's basically a loyalty code. Every week that you come back, you get a code. That code gives you consumables and a mission. You play the mission, and then you get basically the start of your streak. The more times you come back every single week, the bigger your streak is. You have to get at least 2 in a row to have a streak. If you miss a week, then you're out. You only get that 2-week streak.
WGNA is finally Twitch famous. I don't know about that.
Are we?
We're not even really the World of Tanks famous, to be honest.
Yeah,
the grand
right.
scheme of things. We're happy to be here, and we hope you guys find some useful stuff here.
I'm tired of going to these flanks.
Ephemeral, we have 366 people, actually. We're on 3 different channels. We are on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So, yes, it's actually quite a bit. We're always streaming on 3 different platforms.
Yeah, I mean, and I would say, too, like...
Only in World of Tanks do they want you to stream. Yes, I do. Come back every single week, get more consumables, and at the end of the month, you get a bigger bonus, so...
Yeah, we're certainly not claiming that we're a massive Twitch channel, Ephemeral.
No, we're not.
Cyclops says, I play on EU, so I should not watch this then. I mean, that's up to you. A lot of stuff that we talk about is going to be NA region specific or America's region specific.
But
I should say, guys, by the way, this is one thing you're going to see more of. We are now officially the World of Tanks America's region. We are still obviously the NA team, but we are trying to change our terminology to reflect that.
yes.
Just so in case
What's
you guys
the bigger
see more of that.
bonus?
When did
More
that happen?
Consumables
It
and
happened
premium
last week.
account time.
Oh,
There you go.
There was a big announcement
for the
at a
code
big
and
meeting
the
about it.
reward.
I wasn't listening.
What was your question? And then Little T asked, why aren't you playing? I'm running the stream. I'm making sure these 2
Yep.
look good.
Sort of.
She's driving the
or
stream
making
down
us
there.
look bad, depending on how she feels at the moment.
Yeah, basically.
But she also is, that also allows us to loop in you guys and platoon with you guys, which is always fun.
Yeah.
She helps us read questions so we can game.
It's always good to get carried by
What's
our
the
viewers.
code?
Oh, the code?
This code?
It's way
It's
up there.
Pronounce it.
It's Pow McCoo 98912.
Oh, good.
Pow McCoo
Y'all
98912.
gonna ban us Canadians, huh? Nah, we wouldn't do that, Wrecker. Tragic loss is the glue for the stream. I'm the glue, the backbone, the
The cartilage.
What happened, Crazy? Did you die?
Yeah. Because Tragic would embarrass the other 2. Yeah, because they play so terribly.
She actually does have better stats than me. True story.
The wizard doesn't play games. She tells the other 2 who to platoon with. True.
Among other things.
Am I gonna black out if Cabbage doesn't do well? Nah, I ain't gonna sweat it. He's not ruining my stats, he's only ruining his own.
No! Stop attacking me from 2 directions. It's not fair.
I tried to warn you.
Oh, dang.
No. Stop it. Go away.
Tragic is the only sane one in
What? Oh, that ricochet was so
the room.
bad.
Oh, but
Oh, that's what you get for being greedy with the shots, folks.
What is?
How are
what,
you still alive?
What is this tank you're playing?
Yeah, what was all that? You were bouncing left and right.
What is?
Yes, so nice to meet you. We have one in November. You'll have to find out when.
I don't know
We'll
about
announce it
nice
on
game.
stream.
I mean, I just got in a situation where a bunch of people had to rush me at the end, so I just got to farm.
T, you are our next person to stream with.
All right. So is it still true that if I flip,
Thank you, Pickle.
we finish the thing?
Yes. Yes.
Jedi, were you the AE phase 1? Man, I was so close to getting you. So close. Montague says, I know a guitarist for Queensryche plays well. Do they really? My uncle is a huge Queensryche fan. I ended up listening to a lot of Queensryche growing up. That's cool. That's really cool.
I also hope you have the settings right. Are you good? You good? Do we have T in?
T three A's.
GGP kill pickle. We did get wrecked, yeah, but I did 3k damage, so it's cool, man.
We have a question specific for you, Cabbage.
Were they Russians?
No,
Frank,
the one above
Frank,
that.
I gotcha.
From Kebab.
Earlier this year, you mentioned Wargaming were looking at server transfers roaming for later this year. We're almost at the end of the year is the update. Unfortunately, there is not. It's not something that's been taken off the plate, but I have no updates.
Tier 6.
All right,
Tier
Tier
6.
6, count it. Tier 6, count.
Still something we'd like to offer. It's just another one of those things that it's a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of development resources.
Yeah. Are you guys ready? No.
Pertneer.
Iku gives us a hearty face. Thank you for the hearty face.
Oh, I thought it was Ikiboo. I mean,
No.
Iku's cool too. How's it going?
Please? Please what? I'm saying please. But
Help us out,
not saying
Mateus.
Please what?
Bay Booth says I bounced one off you at the end. Yeah, it's okay. I bounced one off the guy right next to me. Oh,
Stop
Tia
the
wants to
HE
change to tier
nonsense.
7.
Done. Sandbox server is a test bed. It is completely
Crazy, we're
separate
pivoting
from
to tier
the
7.
Live
Why?
Because Tia
development
asked us to.
pipeline.
Is Meathead back with what? No, he is not, sadly.
Are you guys ready? All right.
No.
No. What? Y'all.
We're switching to tier 7 because Tia wanted
Tier
us to.
7. Tier 7. Get ready, I guess. Do you guys get to take your pets to work with y'all at all? No, because a lot of people are allergic to cats, else I would.
Yeah, so I have a dog and some fish and
Take the
a
fish.
bird.
Take the fish.
Bring your bird.
The
He'll-
bird.
your fish.
No, the bird would not be.
Bring the fish.
The bird would fly around pooping and
Bring
chewing
the
keys
fish.
and
Yeah, he would murder the
Hashtag
keyboards.
it'd be a
Bring
nightmare.
Bring the fish.
Tier 7, we're ready.
Why do you want me to bring
Tier
the fish?
7. Get ready.
'Cause it's
I would be
5,
down to do a
4,
fish tank at the office.
3, 2, 1, go.
But I would want our GM to pay for it, and I'd want to do a really big, cool one.
Let's see. Silly question. What is the code?
Can we do
for?
an aquarium
The
desk?
code is for
Yeah, man,
our
let's do it.
weekly
Just
watch.
have
party.
a front.
It's our loyalty mission over the course of
If
the
our
month.
GM pays for it, I'll do it.
Every time you input a code and play the mission, you increase your streak count. And then
Dude.
at the end of the month, you get a bonus. Yay!
We- You could do like submarines in it, and then you could do warships on top, and then
Oh
you could
my
have
gosh.
like some.
Well, if
dirt
I'm
for
going to do a
tanks.
tank, it's going to be a tank themed tank. You know, not like a
Yeah.
warships thing. I mean, if warships wants to give some money to the tank fund,
It's
we
for
could
the
talk about
office,
including them in it.
Sir, you can't just.
Hey, you know, this is America. It's pay to play.
Yes, you can still sign up for bingo. I just posted the link for that. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Okay, if you're going that way, I'm going the other way.
No,
You think
I-
Scrobosaurus
guys,
is a
never
is a
get
noob?
a fake support animal vest. That's just literally ruining it for people who actually have disabilities and need a pet to help them. So people
Yeah.
with epilepsy or blind people.
That
Please
also-
do not ever do that.
That wouldn't
in your
work.
Life.
It wouldn't work on any of my pets because my dog is a rescue and she is not good with strangers.
I think you're also actively breaking the law if you do that.
She'd be well. It's one of those laws that's like
It's one of those laws.
I don't think anyone's going to arrest you for breaking that law. They might frown upon it, but it's one of those laws that's
It
like,
is highly
don't do
morally
that.
One of those
frowned
laws that
upon
are suggestions.
to lie.
Don't worry about it.
It's so it's a nebulous, iffy concept, and some people
iffy
take
law.
advantage of a nebulous, iffy concept. But in any case, it definitely wouldn't work with my animals because my dog is scared of strangers, and she'd try and hide from them.
Aw.
And
puppy.
it's not a socialization thing. We've tried for many years, and it's just not her scene. So she would never pass as a rescue dog, and my bird would be very obvious to anyone. She's pretty quiet, not a lot of squawking, but not
T29. How dare
not
you?
an animal that you spend time with and go, oh, this is relaxing. This is making me feel more comfortable.
So there's a difference between an emotional support animal and a service animal. So emotional support animals cannot be taken everywhere. Service animals
Oh, I'm
can.
so dumb, guys. What was I?
Oh
What
my
was I
gosh.
going in there for? Why did
did
I
you
think that was
do?
going to be safe?
I don't know. I literally don't.
I was
know.
thinking about my bird and how she keeps chewing the Ethernet cable that we have nailed above the door to run to a computer. She keeps tearing the nails out, and then she thinks it's hilarious. And then the cable keeps getting. It just happened last night. I have bird problems, people. I do love birds, though. I have chickens, and I have conure, and they're great.
So Jimmy Crib weighed in a little bit on the issue because him and his wife deal with it because I believe they have a service. What happened to our assets?
There's some great stuff in chat here.
my
Redeem says Cabbage is a true motorcyclist. Laws are suggestive. Some of them are. No, I mean, look, come on. You know one's going to arrest you for having a fake support dog. Come on. I have a green cheek conure. I have a problem with your bird. What was Jimmy Crib's
He said that him and his wife have to deal with it constantly.
deal with what constantly?
The fact that people have fake service animal vests.
Oh, yeah? That
Yeah.
sucks. It's always very obvious when it's not a real support animal, by the way.
Yeah.
Because there's
So
if you
call
guys
it
know anything about
service
real
animal
support
'cause
animals,
there is a difference. Emotional support animal.
emotional support animals are not a real thing.
They're not, which is why I'm saying why people need to not get those vests.
I'm sorry, that's
Because
not true.
service animals.
They are a real thing, but there's a difference between a service animal that is actually trained
Yes.
to support somebody who's dealing with either a physical or a mental condition, and the dog that somebody took a 30-day course with and got a vest for.
Yeah.
There's a totally different things. Service animals are trained from a very young age for a very specific purpose. They help veterans with PTSD. They help
They
people with
cost
diabetes.
thousands upon
they
thousands
they
of
cost
dollars.
they're expensive to get and difficult to produce. They're a very serious thing, and that's kind of what Tragic has been getting at with like why it's bad to
I like the
impugn
person at the
that.
convention that had 3 support animals.
Jeez.
3 of them
But yeah, there's
in a basket.
There's a very different. There's a huge difference between an actual service animal and whatever. I am G-Man says PTSD is emotional support. Yes, that is true. However, the dogs that we're talking about, I hope you can appreciate the difference of what I'm talking about here.
Yeah, there's-
the PTSD support animals are extremely well trained and vetted. And it's not someone didn't just get a dog and pass a test at the county to get a support animal vest
Yeah.
for that dog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not
I
it's
think
not the
they're
same
all,
thing.
some of them are also specifically bred because their parents are like within that industry basically.
Yeah.
So please don't have a fake service vest for your animal. Wargaming PSA for you right there. So,
Yeah, the size isn't necessarily relevant.
Yeah.
The size of the breed isn't necessarily relevant. That's true.
there you go.
So anyway, but please
Don't break
appreciate
the
that there
law.
is a difference. If you have a pet that you want an excuse to take places, that is different than having a real service animal.
Yes. There you go.
Are you dead,
Please
Cabbage?
respect that. I am dead.
Yes. He's been dead for a while.
I made a very stupid gameplay decision and died.
Can you help fix my tank?
Personal problems. No, I
Oh
cannot.
no, your engine. Oh no.
Wrecker says my orangutan opens nuts and bananas for me, and you'll never take him away from me.
That is the most useful pet.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, Jack Russell's trained as seizure warning
See
dogs.
that? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. There's very specific jobs. Like I said, PTSD support animals are a whole other thing. Diabetes are one.
too.
There's dogs that are trained to smell when somebody's blood sugar is off.
Yeah.
There are and alert
It's
them.
insane the amount of things.
You know
that-
who we're talking about when we say
Yeah.
bullcrap support animals. A service member is not, like, you obviously know we're not talking about
Yeah.
them. We're talking about the lady
Yeah.
with
This
a
is a
stroller
really interesting
full of
rant.
support animals
Yeah.
that you're like, really? What?
So-
GPC4 said, in conclusion, birds are terrible pets.
Yeah.
Yes, I
So-
100% agree. Don't get a bird as a pet.
So can I bring up something that Fuzzy Doom is talking about? Played
Sure.
a few games this morning. 115 losses made me log off.
I've been
So
there.
can I just bring up the fact that we have it as a bingo thing, and of all of the games that we played today, we didn't even get one
Hey, Michael, how's it going?
loss or win. So like while they do happen, it's not like hyper excessive. Like I know a lot of people have the perception, and it might actually be true that they happen more often.
I swear to
but
God, if
my
I get
point
artied,
is,
I'm going
it doesn't
to
happen
cry.
all the time.
Don't.
There's one of the reasons why I put it in there is so you guys are aware of it.
Michael's on. Shout out to Michael from the Ontario Regiment Museum, one of the big volunteers there and a great photographer. So then I would be an emotional support human for my pup. That's what I am. I'm more of an emotional support human for my dog than the
Yeah.
other way around.
I'm here for you, puppy. I'm here for you.
It's like when the thunder is on, we get thunder buddies going.
You poor broken thing. Let me coddle you.
She's hiding in the back of the closet,
All right, so
you know
we
what's
have
funny?
about 6 minutes, so we can spend that time answering questions. So if anyone wants to put more questions in the chat that isn't about service animals and why you shouldn't put a fake one on your pet, go for it.
Just don't do it. And if you see other people doing it, call them out on their bullshit.
Yeah.
But yeah,
That's your one.
I will say one thing about Texas is my dog was never scared of thunder in California. Good game to you. Sorry for being terrible.
You're welcome, T.
But
I got you.
Texas thunder, she's terrified of Texas thunder because it's
Well, that's
bigger
because
and
it
it lasts
rocks-
longer and it rocks the whole
the
house.
entire house.
Yeah, yeah.
Like back in California, like thunder and lightning would maybe like rattle your windows a little bit.
Babe
People
Booth,
from Florida.
Babe Booth says, I'm a veteran disabled with PTSD, got a dog from the Humane Society, works great. Hey, more power to you.
Yeah.
I do think that there's probably a difference between that dog and a trained support animal. It doesn't mean you can't get validation and a lot of other good benefits from that dog.
I'm an emotional support stream viewer. Thank you, IMJ.
We
I
appreciate
need
it,
it.
J-Man.
That's for
We
me.
feel emotionally supported.
That's
Yeah,
for me.
hold on. We got to play one more low tier game for reasons.
No,
For reasons.
I already said
Nope.
no.
We got to play one more
No.
low tier. Come on, Crazy, let's go. She can't stop it if we click
No,
battle.
she can't.
Anyways, guys, thank you for going.
For reasons, guys.
It is Tuesday. Don't make me do this.
Scott CND said, I already asked twice about any plans for German rebalance or Scout Car rebalance. Yes to the latter. That is something we hope to get to eventually. And yes to the former. Once again, all other go ahead and just hit battles. Get it.
Okay. Tier 2 battle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah. And then we skipped the count in, so that's another one. Oh, no, you did. Well, we did.
I
'cause you
did it, sorry.
We didn't do it properly.
Yeah.
I should have forgot.
So, yes, and the moral of today's story is the sandbox is for testing. Don't get a fake emotional support vest for your dog so that you can bring it on a plane
Or your fish.
or your fish.
My hair's green. That's another one.
KrzyBoop's hair is green, and Cabbage needs to flip his tank so that we can get a winner for this bingo.
Why do you do
All right.
this to me?
All right. So how
I'm gonna laugh if you don't flip.
if I was
no, he's
unintentionally
getting flipped.
if I was unintentionally flipped, if I was unintentionally going to flip,
Shit.
where would I do that on this map? Is Incinder taking off? See you later, Incinder.
Yeah, if you're fast enough, go to center. Crazy Max is on the other team.
Can we get pet/support animals in the game like Rudy? That would be really cool. And I think we don't really want to encourage violence towards animals.
Will
but
there
we
be
do already
another
have the
code on
dog crew
Thursday?
members,
Not
so.
this week. This is week 4.
So the question is, will Cabbage actually be able to flip before getting
Yeah,
killed?
I don't know why you chose the light Vic because it has a low center
that's
of
actually
gravity.
you're right. That's actually not a great choice. right.
Okay, don't spend the entire game trying
Don't
to
spend
do
the
that.
entire battle trying to flip. That would be inappropriate.
And also, it has to be Cabbage. It's
I think I gotta get some speed. I gotta get some speed.
Let's do this.
I think the. Oh man, I'm not gonna be able to get up to the mid, am I?
No. You guys have less than a minute to flip, by the way, because the stream ends in about a minute.
Oh no, I'm being shot.
Oh,
no. Oh no.
Oh no! Everyone's calling you out for picking a terrible tank.
It
to
is a
flip.
terrible tank. I was just in a hurry. I wanted to.
I hate him. Can
Well,
I ban
I mean-
him?
Who?
Crazy Max.
Did
Can I
Crazy
ban
Max
him?
kill you? Crazy Max is trying to spoil the stream. Oh man.
Crazy Max, I was on a mission.
No.
I was on a mission.
Guys, I can't leave my spot. I'll die. Whoa. Who are these light tanks at base? What is
Anyways,
going on
as
there?
we're trying to watch Cabbage flip his tank, thank you guys for joining our stream. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please do come back weekly because we do have the weekly
Yeah,
walker codes.
shoot him.
You
Get him
guys
right in
get
the face.
bonuses. It's super awesome. Like Cabbage
Ruben,
said,
I'll give you a tank
please-
if you kill him.
Please be aware that the Sandbox server is a test bed. It's not guaranteed whatsoever at all to make it to the live server. It is completely separate from our normal development cycle, which is super test, common test, live server.
Anybody
Way up
screenshots
here.
killing Crazy Max, I will definitely give you stuff.
Anyways, thank you guys for joining our stream. Cabbage,
We'll get it next week,
Crazy,
guys.
Do you guys have any? I mean,
Thursday?
we still have Thursday.
Yeah, we'll get it Thursday. This
Anyways,
week, guys.
any closing words, Crazy or Cabmech? Do you need your soapbox?
I'll never get tired of trolling you guys by pretending I'm gonna flip and then not doing it.
Send me a screenshot of killing Crazy Max.
I appreciate
and
you.
I will give you prizing.
I appreciate
Crazy
you all
Boop
coming
on the
out.
forums.
We'll see you Thursday at 4 p.m. Central.
Make him pay.
Make me pay. Make Crazy Max pay
Make
first.
Crazy Max pay.
Please go check out the new changes to the Sandbox that came out today. As you may find that HE is better than it was last week because stuff changes on the Sandbox server pretty quick. I don't know if you heard about that. Join our Discord if you haven't. We'd love to have you. We have memes. We have an anime containment zone. And, have a great weekend. We'll see you on Thursday.
You're going down, Crazy Max!
Otherwise, if you are
Crazy
over
Max
on
is
Twitch,
going down.
we are going to be rating Nick Shocks. So if you can give him a hashtag Sherman Gang, please do. And welcome to Nick Shocks' channel.
Just logged off and taking a break.
Bye.